Hi, Dane.
Hey, Julie.
Hi. I wanted to talk with you about adapting your in-person program to remote, which I think happened early on in the pandemic for you. You want to talk a little bit about the in-person program it was first?
Yes, I was working with a theater locally that we were partnering, and we had started a series of live storytelling classes. I had, on average, about 20 people per class, and a lot of what I was assigned to do is to use theater skills to teach storytelling. So it wasn't necessarily a writing class, it was about live performance. And we were supposed to begin March 17th, 2020. About 7 days before that, it was pretty clear that the world was shutting down. I contacted my students and said, hey, let's try this Zoom thing. I'll help you get set up. Let's just have a meeting online. Let's see if we can even stand it. So before I did any classes, it was just a familiarization experience. And most of these students had been together for a few years. And so there was a lot of camaraderie and trust already built into the group. My mentor said, way more important to show up now imperfectly and authentically than to wait till you get it right. Just press go. And so we did, and we started, and it worked pretty well. There were a couple students that said, I can't stand it, I'm going to step back. But then even as this went on, they joined back in because the social engagement piece was still there.
You did so many adaptations to help folks get comfortable. And what about in terms of your curriculum? Like, how did after just even finding your sea legs, how did you start to realize the ways in which you needed to adjust your lesson plans or the skills you were, um, showing and demonstrating? Like, in terms of just like curriculum, what started to shift for you to adapt?
The first adaptation was realizing that I could not do 20 people online the same way that I did live. A lot of the group activities in the theater games, I found for me that about 9 people was optimal. It was about average 10 minutes per student, giving each student enough time to tell their story, to share, for us to give feedback, for me to have prompts and thematic links for the day and the culminating event and so forth. So I lost a lot of what I did at the theater, which was, there were times when I'd put them in group situations and I would just walk around and eavesdrop and then point out, look at how you're all telling stories. And like I said, capturing that and building on what works. So I lost that, but I also, again, just to minimize the amount of time that I would spend struggling, I just got more specific on using the medium for what it was and teaching into the medium. Like, this
Mhm.
is what we have. This is what we're going to do our culminating event on. Let's learn how to use the camera. Let's learn how to make eye contact with the camera, just like I'm doing right now. I can see you down there nodding your head, but I'm looking into the camera as though I'm looking at a person. That's one of the things I teach.
Good.
So, just noticing, for me, from my level of assessing this, both the students and assessing what I'm doing my best to be as adaptable as possible. I note connections and I note the engagement, and that's different online. And so I just facilitated that by setting up asynchronous meetings in between classes. You two are going to practice your stories with each other. You've learned how to give feedback constructively. And for many people that worked, and for some people they were, I'm too busy. And again, I would just go with that rather than insisting. I'm here to learn as well. And I would
Mhm.
say, and then with that under my belt, I started putting out the call for new students through other organizations I've worked with, and then in some cases, referrals from students. So then I had that curriculum built for how to do this online. And the blessing of that is that I have students in rural and remote places who didn't even have this option of getting together with other people to do a performance art form.
That's great. You want to talk just a little bit more? You mentioned the sort of meetups between sessions. Do you want to talk more about sort of your discoveries with sort of the, in that case, like asynchronous elements and the synchronous elements, and yeah, that seems very different than what you would do in person. You said some people took to it, some people didn't. How have those things intersected remotely?
When we managed to get together one time was, sadly, one of our students passed from COVID, and
Mm.
it was an outdoor meeting. It was a memorial, a celebration of life, and
Wow.
she loved mini golf, and so we met at an outdoor mini golf and golfed in her honor, and met her communities. And so it was again, it was not a storytelling event, although people got up as a part of the memorial to share stories. So not only did some of us do that, but we heard all of these different groups that she was a part of. They got up and talked about storytelling, and it did come up how stories are such a part of the fabric of how we live. It's all storytelling. And so we were informed by what was going on, and our conversation was not only about her, but also how powerful everyone's stories were.